Hello and welcome to When They Popped. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Mary.
And Mary just went to a very exciting show that we need to talk about before we get into the topic of today's episode.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys. I went to Guest of the Pod, Tyler Hilton's show with Kate Vogel. It was the Music of One Tree Hill tour. He had a stop in St. Petersburg, Florida. It was so cool. I was able to attend the show and do VIP through Tyler's tour manager and bassist, Corey. He hooked me up so I could get some content. And let me tell you, Tyler Hilton, the man does not disappoint. Besides that, this was the first time meeting Kate. I know a couple of her songs, but obviously I know her from One Tree Hill. And she is so pretty. I was so intimidated when she walked in because she's just so stylish. She has like such a cool fashion sense and is just like very, very pretty. So I was like, oh my God. And they did such a nice little VIP sound check and then took time to do meet and greets with the fans. And there were a lot. I was like, how many people are going to be here? Is it going to be like 10? Is it like, how many One Tree Hill stands are there? Well, let me tell you, there were so many Scott jerseys, One Tree Hill jerseys at this thing. Men and women, I was so impressed by the turnout. Everyone got to go up, give Kate and Tyler a hug, give them anything they wanted to have signed. They had some really cool merch, both like Tyler and Kate themed, along with One Tree Hill themed. And so you got to get a professional picture taken. You got a picture on your cell phone and just a moment to kind of stand and chat for a little bit. And so I introduced myself. I was like, you were on our podcast a few months ago. And he's like, oh my God, I remember you. And my husband was like, he recognized you. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I had to like prod him a little bit, but you know, we met over Zoom. So I think that's totally fair. And he was like, you guys, I had so much fun doing that. And if you guys don't remember, like Tyler literally did a mini Patreon concert and he played like 2 or 3 songs.
He serenaded. Like
Kelsey and I
were just serenaded by Tyler Hilton.
He played my favorite song by him of all time. And I was just like trying not to be like jaw dropped. That's on our Patreon if you haven't seen that.
Don't worry, I hid most of our reactions because our jaws were just like on the floor the whole time.
We were trying to like dance along. I definitely remember myself like sweating during it. Like I definitely had a sheen during that because I was just like, oh my God, help. But he's just so kind, so gracious, so personable and charismatic. And I was able to go and shoot some of the content we posted recently on social media with Tyler. And he was such a good sport. It was so funny when I went up to their little backstage before the show. I had like 10 minutes with him and he's like, okay, like, what do you want to do? Like, he was just so game, so excited for anything. I feel like he would have done any idea that I had, but I didn't have as much courage without Kelsey. Kelsey was not with me, so I was doing this solo. And so we decided to do a little mini mic interview, but like,
you did great.
I feel like we could have done something really funny if it was the 2 of us. And then we had the show and they did maybe like an hour and a half, all their hits, all the classics, all their songs from One Tree Hill. If they're coming to your city, make sure you check because it's so much fun and just totally worth doing the meet and greet. I just could not recommend more.
Even the videos that you shared, I was like, holy shit, they sound so incredible live. And I loved it. We did this other little segment with him that you can see on our Instagram, like what would Chris Keller do? And we put so much thought and effort into the questions that we asked people. We agonize over. We had like 8 calls and we're like, are these good enough? I don't know. And then we scrapped everything and started over. And basically what we went in with was something totally different than what we'd been talking about for weeks. And the biggest compliment is when one of our guests like laughs at like something that we asked them. And he was such a good sport. I loved his reaction to what we wanted to talk. Like, it was just like, it was perfect. Tyler Hilton, A+ guest, A+ social media content.
Hysterical. He's so funny, but enough gushing over him. What is going on today?
All right. You guys, I mean, first of all, I hope everyone had an amazing holiday. Hope you guys are rested. I hope Santa brought you Backstreet Boys Sphere tickets. Santa did not bring me Backstreet Boys at Sphere tickets, but I'm really happy for you all. My eyes are rolling as I'm saying this. Happy for you, excited for you if he delivered for you guys. But anyways, it's the new year. So we're like, we have to take a look back. It's time of reflection. This year was a whirlwind. 'Tis the season for reflecting. So reflect we shall. There were so many bright spots for Mary and I over the last year that we felt deserved a little bit of a spotlight. So Mary and I went through the archives, LOL, from the past 12 months, and we each picked our favorite moments from 2025. And we landed on this really fun mix of pop culture moments, but also some really exciting milestones for us and the pod, which is thanks to all of you for listening. So we each picked our top 5. Mary, will you do the honors of beginning with your number 5? We'll do a countdown style.
Sure. Let's do it. My number 5 is kind of from the stratosphere, if you will. And it's kind of this feeling of wanting a digital detox. And I thought this one was crazy. I just read an article about it. Apparently in 2025, Gen Z, I mean, the generation that literally grew up with smartphones in their hands, they have started ditching their iPhones for flip phones, like the Motorola Razr, the Nokia 3310. Phones that we grew up on. Apparently, they called it a flip phone summer, and it was part of this whole dopamine diet movement where they were trying to combat digital addiction. And honestly, like, there's data that backs this up. Like, apparently, within the last year, flip phone purchases among 18 to 24-year-olds surged 148%, while smartphone use in the same age group dropped by 12%. And HMD, this is the company that makes the Nokia 3310 flip phone, they said their sales doubled since relaunching the phone in 2017. But what's interesting about it, and again, this is unsurprising to me, there's actual science behind why this works. You know, a study published in 2025 found that blocking mobile internet access while still allowing, calls and texts, the basic brick phone, it improves mental health, attention, and overall well-being. Apparently, there were studies done, and after just 2 weeks, 91% of participants in these studies who switched to the brick phone saw improvement in all these areas. They spent their offline time just like living, socializing, reading a book, going outside, exercising. I thought this was so interesting because, to be honest with you, I dream of doing this all the time. I fantasize of ditching my iPhone for a Nokia flip. I can still text. I can still be reached. I yearn for that separation from being online all the time. And I have trouble self-imposing it on myself. Like if it's there, I might as well scroll. I have a hard time kind of setting up that boundary. And so let me tell you, that is on my fantasy list. But it's hard because I get so many work emails and pings on my phone that I just couldn't get on my brick. But I love Gen Z for taking a stab at this.
I yearn for shutting my phone dramatically and throwing it across the room. That was the most fun thing ever. Having a flip phone that you just shut, you snap it shut. So satisfying. You literally could throw it across the room and it would be fine. Now I'm like, wow, there goes my $2,000 iPhone. I was so good at T9 predictive text. I could text under the desk at school and it would be perfect. I didn't need to look at it. It was truly an art form. Oh my God. Remember accidentally hitting the internet button and being like, no, Xing out. And you're like, oh my God, my family's going to go bankrupt from this one accidental internet connection.
Yes. Oh my God. Such a good memory. But maybe 2026 will be the year that I go back to
Get a dumb phone.
A girl can dream. Manifesting this for me one day. What is your number 5?
Okay, my number 5 moment of 2025 is a personal milestone for the podcast because we've been doing this for 3 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're embarking into our 4th year.
Yes.
And this year we decided to launch a Patreon. And that was a leap. I feel like we were like, we don't know if anyone's actually going to want to pay to hear us. We put so much effort into this podcast. I don't think anyone knows how hard it is to come up with new content every single week. And we were like, I don't know if anyone's going to pay for it when we put so much effort into our public episodes. But we were delightfully surprised that so many people were interested in checking out our Patreon. We have a couple different levels. And it's just a space where we can be a little more unhinged, less polished. And so if you've heard our Patreon episodes, you're probably like, wow, this is chaotic energy because that's who we really are. I feel like we can be a little bit more of ourselves. And because of the Patreon, we started rewatching some really iconic series from our childhoods. The first is The OC. Mary, you're watching it for the first time. And for me, it's just been so fun to relive those episodes and remember where I was the first time I saw them. and going to school the next day and talking with my friends and being like, oh, did you see Anna's weird ass hat? And like, why won't Summer just stop resisting Seth's charms and date him already? Looking back at the show that I watched 20 years ago, I feel like I'm learning a lot too, watching it with, adult eyes and smartphone access, I have to say, because I'm looking things up as I'm watching it now. Like in our last OC episode, for example, there was the holiday party at the Newport Group offices, and Julie Cooper made a comment about Marissa wearing a Chanel dress. And Mary and I both clocked it immediately as definitely not Chanel.
It had
and
sequins.
It had really poorly applied sequins.
Yes.
And it just led us down this really fun rabbit hole around the costume design in season 1. And fashion was such a huge part of that show. Spoiler alert, it was not a Chanel dress, but it was just like a fun piece of pop culture trivia that we probably wouldn't have otherwise explored. And it was just so nostalgic for me. And I love learning about that behind the scenes stuff. So it's been just really fun reliving some of those moments. And our Patreon is the reason that I can now say I have seen Brittany and Kevin chaotic from start to finish. For some reason, that series always eluded me. And I am really glad that we watched, and we finally finished it last week, by the way. So we got to see some sweet behind the scene moments of Brittany just during that time where she was on top of the world. And more importantly, we got to see some really great footage of the Onyx Hotel tour, which was my favorite part of the series.
This was a great pick, Kels. The Patreon was such a huge part of this year and I think something that we're just both so proud of that we are able to launch. And people are subscribing. We're covering our subscription fees now and stuff just from our Patreon, which I think makes a lot of the blood, sweat, and tears, all the hours that we put into this, just feel, I can show to my husband now, look we're making a profit. I guess maybe we're breaking even. I don't know if we're quite making a profit yet. And I think something for us going into 2026 is we have the intention to really step up our Patreon even more and make it even more of a priority. We have been releasing every Monday for the last 3 years, and now we're going to be doing every other Monday. Kelsey, I think it's the first and the third Monday of every month.
Yep.
Correct? So still going to hear from us 2 times a month publicly, and we're going to be putting a lot of the effort that we put into those public episodes into some Patreon episodes. So this is the time to check out the different tiers that we have and buckle up, because 2026 is going to be really fun for Patreon. And besides doing the rewatches that Kelsey talked about, we also put a lot of our interviews with guests on there first, and we put them in full, unedited. Some of them, do special mini concerts or
and you'll get the full
Q&As.
video.
Yep, video.
So you don't get the full video of our interviews anywhere else except Howie's.
Well, Howie's was a gift for the world. So.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're welcome, world. But yeah, so no better place than that to announce kind of this new cadence. So don't worry, we're not sick. We haven't quit. If there's a Monday that we're not there, we've just switched our cadence to the first and third week. And our Patreon welcometh you. Again, we have multiple tiers and a lot of fun ideas for 2026. So that was a great pick, Kels. Should we move on to 4?
Yes. What was your number 4?
Number 4 is not something that I've experienced, but it's something that I'm still excited about and hopeful manifesting that you and I are going to experience maybe in 2026. Who knows? But this is Ashlee Simpson Ross absolutely thriving at her little mini residency at Voltaire in Las Vegas. This was something that she announced earlier in 2025. She started off this residency at Voltaire in August, and those first 2 shows, they sold out so fast that she immediately added 5 more dates in September, and then she added 4 more dates in January. Clearly, the woman is doing something right. She is selling out, and I'm unsurprised by that. This was a long time coming. A little background on Voltaire, if you haven't been, it's a 1,000-seat venue at the Venetian. So it's very small, it's intimate. To me, it's starting to become a blueprint for the Y2K comebacks. A lot of people are starting at Voltaire, it seems. More on that later. But Ashlee really seemed to start it all for the Y2K girlies. What I've read, the shows have been described as receiving standing ovation. She's getting rave reviews. The critics are calling it a love story to her fans. She performs with an all-female band, and she runs through, all the hits that defined the mid-2000s that we associate with Ashlee. I had a few friends that have gone, and they've also noted that Ashlee's vocals are awesome and said that it's very clear that she's been working on her craft and improving her voice. It's just something that really stood out to them in the best way. I mean, on top of all of that, this is like her first full-length show since 2008. And so it's just really great to see her back on stage again. Kelsey and I have had an experience at Voltaire. You know, the Backstreet Boys have their after parties there.
I promised myself I would never step foot in Voltaire again because their manager was less than lovely.
We were there the first night of the after party, so no one knew what to expect. And I think
they gave our table away.
Yeah, some kinks were being worked out for sure. So Kelsey and I are not too excited to attend an event at Voltaire, but
I literally told her, I was like, I'm never coming back here again. She was like, I don't care. I was like, okay.
She did not care. So my hope for 2026 is that we get to see Ashlee somewhere else. I'm hopeful maybe she will take this on the road, you know, see how much love she's gotten in Vegas and consider hitting the road with the show. I get the appeal of Vegas for the artists, but as a fan, let me tell you, I am so freaking tired of going there. And selfishly, part of me would love a little bit of a bigger venue. So maybe I have a prayer at getting tickets. More on that gripe later.
What Harry Styles did. Wasn't he at Madison Square Garden like every weekend in New York City?
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to complain about this a little more later. But bottom line, this is not a complaint fest. This is something we're really excited about. And I'm just so glad that the pop girlies are coming back.
Oh, God. This was like the best year for people coming back out of the woodwork who we've been waiting patiently. Oh, I can't wait. I really want to see Ashlee so bad. I love her hair right now also. Like she just looks incredible. Yeah. I love seeing the confidence. And I mean, I will say Voltaire is such a cool venue because you're so close. Like there is not one bad seat in the house if you're seeing a concert there. Mary's like, Well, we weren't seeing a concert. It was an after party, so it was different. But I can imagine that would be like a really incredible concert experience, especially for someone like Ashlee Simpson. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Oh, so that big win for us.
So happy for her.
All right. What's your number 4?
Okay, my number 4 was another personal milestone for the pod. Most of mine are like things that we did and experienced. And that was interviewing Joseph Kahn. So this year, Joseph Kahn released a really fun, nostalgic, campy horror flick called Ick. And he came on the podcast to talk about it. And I really don't know if I've ever been so starstruck through a computer screen. The amount of times that we've said the name Joseph Kahn on this podcast because he directed so many influential music videos. Backstreet Boys, Britney, NSYNC. Taylor Swift is probably his like biggest music video collaborator. I mean, he did the Toxic music video. He told us that he had a secret music video with Taylor Swift for King of My Heart that no one knows about, no one's ever been seen because they scrapped it last minute. Like, we got so much lore and tea from him. He almost directed the Baby One More Time music video for Britney. And he was just so excited to talk about it. And the timing in which we spoke to him was also so fascinating because Backstreet Boys at Sphere, the visuals are so heavily influenced by their music videos that they did with Joseph, the Larger Than Life music video, the robots. So much of that is inspired by his music video from 1999. And we got to ask him about it and what it was like to see it. And then some behind the scenes trivia, we helped him actually make his way to the Sphere to see the show. He had no plans to do it. And we were like, Joseph, you have to get to the Sphere.
How much of an honor was it to connect him with Team BSB?
Right. We helped him to the show with Team Backstreet Boys so he could go see the impact that this music video is having and see it at Sphere. So it was just a very cool moment where we were like, wow, we just like, made a connection for Joseph Kahn, the most connected person probably in the world.
Doesn't need us, but we're here to help. No, I totally agree. That interview came together so fast. I remember he wanted to do it the same day that we were emailing about it. And I was like, I need like a little time to mentally prepare for this. Like, we can't just throw together an interview for Joseph Kahn, but his movie was getting ready to come out. So he was like trying to get press out really fast. And so I think we delayed it maybe a day or two, but it was totally
that night in a hotel room on a business trip. Someone was like, oh, do you want to go to dinner? I was like, I got to watch a movie tonight. They were like, what? I was like, I'm talking to Joseph Kahn. Do you know who that is? Like, this is a big deal.
I think your husband described him, I loved when he said this, as like the Max Martin of music videos. And I think that's a really nice, very apt way to describe him. I agree with your take. Besides, having a Backstreet Boy on our podcast, I would say he is like, top 3 to 5 people I've been most starstruck interviewing.
I love when someone gives us a behind the scenes that we didn't know about. The King of My Heart music video, no one knew about. Like, he said it in an interview a couple weeks later, and it made like headlines, like Bustle and people, all these other news outlets were writing about it. I know. I need to start like pitching us.
Please do. Please get some tea. I had another thing to the docket, but also just asking him what it was like to be behind some of those really iconic moments, like the Toxic music video shoot. He dropped some interesting stories around how that's when Britney went to get married in Vegas to Jason, her friend from high school. So she was not able to provide the input around the music video that she normally would have. So he got to do his own director's cut of the music video. They basically put it out without any approval from Team Britney. So he had full editorial control of this. Those are like really interesting tidbits that I didn't know about. And we know so much about that time in pop culture. It's just so fun to hear the behind the scenes, what it was like working in such close proximity with the people that we obsess over every day. So I freaking loved Joseph Kahn. And I loved how self-aware he was. He was like, yeah, I really wanted the Baby One More Time music video to be a giant robot. And Britney would just be fighting this giant robot. And they hated it. And I said, bye. If I can't have the robot, I'm not going to do it. So it was so funny. His sense of humor was hilarious.
Mary and I get very intimidated because we're just two normal girls who have full-time jobs. And we do this on the weekends and on nights for fun to learn and like bask in our favorite time. And meeting people like Joseph, it's like a pinch me moment for sure.
Shall we move on to number 3?
Let's do it.
All right, mine's another one that we haven't gotten to experience, but I'm manifesting and hopeful for. Well, I guess we experienced part of it. Hilary Duff is back, baby. She released a single. We have an album coming, and we got those show dates. So Hilary Duff came back swinging in 2025. After a decade away from music, she signed with Atlantic Records in September. And apparently that announcement dropped. It led to a 400% increase in searches for her discography on Spotify. So clearly the people were ready. And then on November 6th, she released Mature, her first new single in 10 years. And obviously the response was huge. It went to number 2 on iTunes. It was streamed hundreds of thousands of times on Spotify. It was the biggest debut in her career so far, which is crazy to wrap your mind around because it feels like she has so many hits, but I'm glad she got such a warm welcome on this return. I mean, Billboard ranked Mature at number 20 on its list of the 100 best songs of 2025. And the critics were positive for once. They called it a pop masterclass in self-awareness and praised how Hilary's vocal delivery has matured without losing the playful, approachable charm that has always defined her. Before getting into her tour a little, I just wanted to take a quick pivot because I've been dying to discuss kind of the theories behind the inspiration for Mature. Have you heard the Leo DiCaprio theory, Kelsey?
I've heard that theory.
So listeners, if you have not heard this theory, let's talk about it. Some people have speculated that Mature might be about a one and only Leo DiCaprio, his affinity for dating a younger woman. And there's some lyrics that I find interesting and may have some validity. Again, all of this is alleged. But what about that lyric, very Leo of you with a Scorpio touch? So there's obviously a call out of Leo right there, even though, she's technically talking about
Leo, the astrological sign.
Right.
But do you think that's like too on the nose?
I don't know. Leo is a Scorpio, by the way. So it's a fun play on words. She's obviously talking about the sign, but it could be interpreted as talking about Leo the Scorpio. And then there's a reference to impressing girls with Basquiat art. And apparently, Leo famously had some of this art in a home that he had to surrender after buying it from a corrupt financier. So Leo has been associated with the Basquiat art. And there's also mentions of Carbon Beach. That's where Leo used to have a home. And so there are some mentions that could be tied to Leo. There's another wild part, though. Fans went back to her 2007 Danger off of Dignity. And there's a lyric that asks, were you born in 74? And then she talks about falling in line like the 100 girls you had over time. So I guess Leo was born in 74. He's a notorious playboy. She could have been dropping some tea on this for 18 years, potentially.
And we didn't know.
Again, all this is alleged. It's just fun to speculate about this, right? Like, what is it about? If it's about anything, it could just be a fun song, you know? But Hilary's been coy about it. She said the song is a conversation between her present and past self about a brief experience. And apparently Matthew Coma, posted a Leo gif when responding to a question about the song, but we know that he can get kind of wild on the internet. So, who knows how much validity to put it to that.
I feel like that means it wasn't Leo. Maybe it's someone like a Leo. Like she's trying to draw a parallel. Because I also remember seeing a lot of people were speculating it was about Joel Madden because we know they had a very problematic age difference when she was 16.
The only reason I feel like that I disagree with that is because she has such a good relationship with them now.
Someone said he was credited on the song too. So they were like, there's no way. And he reposted something about it, basically just being absolving himself. He was like, this is not about me, you guys. Everyone chill.
So but I feel like
it is still weird that age difference happened.
Oh, it's super inappropriate. But we got this banger. And then, of course, the tour announcement came. Small Rooms and Big Nerves, a mini tour. At first, it just started with 4 shows in London, Toronto, Brooklyn, and LA.
We were in that queue, guys.
I was in line at Disney using all my phone battery with 60,000 people ahead of me for a 1,000 person venue in Toronto. But the tickets obviously sold out in minutes. This is huge for, an artist that's been away for a decade. But then, even better, she announced 3 Valentine's weekend shows at, guess where? Voltaire. Voltaire. And then because of all the overwhelming demand, she added 3 more dates in May. And again, another devastating Ticketmaster battle. I tried for Voltaire and Hilary, but I have similar hopes and dreams that I have for Ashlee Simpson Ross. More venues, bigger venues, away from Vegas. Again, I'm just seeing Voltaire as becoming this first step for Y2K pop divas re-entering into the music world. Anywho, her full album, Luck or Something, drops February 20th. Definitely will be an episode about that, whether on our public or Patreon. So we'll be deep diving into that for sure. And don't forget, there's also a docuseries coming. It's executive produced by Sam Wrench, the same director who did Taylor Swift's Eras Tour film, not the documentary that just came out, but the film. And Atlantic Records has promised, and it's called this her boldest and most self-assured project to date. And honestly, we have been dying for this, waiting, salivating, so ready to hear what else she has up her sleeve.
I cannot wait. We just did a Hilary Duff episode, and Mary encouraged me to check and breathe in, breathe out. And it ended up on my Spotify Wrapped.
It did?
Because I listened to it so many times.
It's so good.
Oh, it's incredible. Well, my number 3 is also about a return of a music group that I've been obsessed with for a very long time, and that is the Click 5, touring in the U.S. for the first time in 15 years. This was huge for little emo gals like me. Not only did Ethan and Kyle from the Click 5 come on the pod to talk to us about their tour, we got to hear about how they surprised the Jonas Brothers crowd by joining them on their tour. But I got to see them live for the first time ever. And their second album, Modern Minds and Pastimes, ended up being my number 2 most played album of the year on my Spotify Wrapped. And I just know that if Spotify was around in high school for me, this album would have been on my all-time Mount Rushmore of Spotify Wrapped. I can't tell you how much I listened to that CD. So it was very fun for me to see. They played so many songs off of that album. So it was just incredible. I had the best time. And it was also really fun to see them in Boston where the group formed, and they recorded all of their albums here in Boston too. So it was just very palpable how excited they were to be there. It felt like a hometown show. I also have to say, everyone wants that moment where you're in the crowd at a concert and they look at you and are performing to you. They recognize me, so they did that. And I was like, this is the coolest moment of my entire life. I got one of the guitar picks. It was just the coolest concert ever. My husband was like, they're definitely looking at you. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a dream come true. I've been wishing for this moment since I was like 12.
I'm so happy that you had such a good experience. I was so mad that I was out of town or something. They didn't come to Florida yet, and I couldn't go to Boston for that. I had something else that day. But I'm just hopeful that that means more dates so they can come to Florida, and maybe you can come down and come with me.
They kept saying, like, this is just the beginning. Like, we're going to do more. Like, they kept saying, we are back. We are so back.
I love that.
So, like, that cannot be the one and only time I see them. They're so incredible live. They played all of the songs that I wanted to hear except one of them, but it's okay. And they apologized to me for not playing the song they knew I wanted to hear, which I was like, how do you remember that? Like, it was just so nice. Loved it. Loved it. I love that they're wearing the suits with the ties again. They're leaning into the nostalgia. We can't say enough. Lean in, people. Yep. Give the people what they want. I was watching the Taylor Swift documentary, and she was talking about how during eras when she was deciding her costuming, she was like, I know that people associate the visuals of this album with where they were, how old they were, what was going on in their lives when they watched it. She was like, I want to give that to them. So we were very intentional about making sure that we leaned into the nostalgia. And I loved hearing that. So lean in, people. Please. Put the butterfly clips in. Okay, number 2.
Oh my God. Okay. So the last 3, I've done kind of pop culture moments, but I am switching to a personal moment finally. And it's got to be getting Howie DeRoe of the Backstreet Boys on the podcast. Kelsey, correct me if I'm wrong, but I truly think 3 years ago, we started the podcast with a singular goal: get a Backstreet Boy on the podcast.
Mary wanted this podcast to be Backstreet Boys themed originally. That was like the concept. And I was like, I think I'm going to get tired of talking about Backstreet Boys all the time. Joke's on me. We still talk about them every episode.
If we would be like done by a year. Like there would only be so much. I mean, you were right to make this more general, and like you're like, we can talk about Britney too. And I'm like, fine, sold. But I know we had a ton of, smaller goals, but I feel like our true white whale, if you will, was like, okay, well, we've got to one day get a Backstreet Boys on.
And it felt like such a pipe dream. Like that would never, ever happen.
I think I went in starting delusional and be like, of course they'll come on. And then once we kind of got into the thick of it and I realized, it's not just anybody. They don't just come on your podcast. You have to kind of establish yourself, get guests on to kind of build a reputation. And, they want to see that you've had other people on of similar stature or like stature and that you're being consistent. There's just so much more that goes into getting someone on like that than I realized in the beginning. Kelsey probably realized it because she's in PR, but I did not. But not only did we achieve, our biggest goal, we got to do it in person at his brand spanking new restaurant, Koa. And so many of our interviews are done virtually. Just that's kind of the way of the world. As you said, we're working girls. We can't just, fly to wherever our guests are or
as much as we would love to.
Yeah. I mean, trust me, that's
5-year plan.
Exactly. But Kelsey was able to fly down. I was able to drive over. We were able to be there.
We took PTO.
We took PTO. Like Howie graciously gave us, I'd say, over an hour of his time. This was right in the midst of, this restaurant being brand new and the boys preparing for the Sphere. And honestly, it still feels like a dream that we were able to have this experience with him and that just like everything went right. Like technology, we were
very stressful.
In a whole new setup, doing everything in person. And we kind of prepared the best we could and got everything set up and hoped for the best. And it just couldn't have gone better. And, my personal goal for the podcast is to get a second Backstreet Boy on in 2026, continue what we've started here. And our wonderful listeners, you show us so much support. And the more support you continue to show us only helps us push us closer to that goal, whether it's rating us 5 stars if you haven't, subscribing to our Patreon. Make sure you're subscribed and downloading our episodes. Like that helps us so much more than you could ever know. A lot of times people want to know that information. And so we've got that first Backstreet Boy on, and I'm making a pledge to you listeners that I'm going to get us a second Backstreet Boy next year. And if I'm not even going to say if we don't, because we're going to. I'm manifesting it. But thank you so much for getting us to that point. Oh my God, crazy.
Howie was kind of like in my number one, baked into like how this was just like the year of Backstreet Boys. But talking to Howie about Sphere and Millennium 2.0 and then seeing it all come to life just a couple months later, it just felt so exciting to like hear from the horse's mouth. And we are huge fans, obviously. So what I really was proud of us for, Mary, just to give us a little moment, was so many people who know us personally and know how excited we are and what fangirls we are. They were like, you guys were so composed. I don't know how you played it so cool. And I'm like, that is not a word that I would use to describe either of us at any given moment. Like, not cool, not collected. We were just freaking out all the time. So
especially
to hear
the hotel room, like right before, I felt
we had
like
to give
I was
ourselves like a
having
pep talk. Yeah. We gave ourselves a major pep talk. We were doing arts and crafts with our freaking note cards and everything. But I mean, he shows up to his restaurant with no entourage. It was just him. And he's like, can I get you guys something to drink? And we were like,
can I get you something to drink?
Yeah, we were like wait. He was like, can I get you like a Coke or something? We were like, oh my God, like, we're good. We have our water. Like, we were very nervous. But I mean, there's a Backstreet Boy sitting in front of us and he gave us like an hour and a half of his time. And we were very intentional again with our questions. We talked a lot about the restaurant, which was amazing. But we asked him some of those like fan niche questions that I've never heard any of them mention in an interview before. And I think we've watched every Backstreet Boys interview that there is. So we specifically asked him about put your fingers in the air. His iconic phrase that he says during I Want It That Way, right before his solo, and you are my fire, the one, put your fingers in the air. And he was like, wait, you guys actually like that? And we were like, have you never heard how much the fans love this before? Like, yes, we like it. And he was like, okay, well, maybe I'll bring it to the Sphere. And if I do, you guys should take credit for it. He did it. He did it at Sphere. So this is me taking credit for put your fingers in the air at Sphere. That was just like the coolest thing ever. Like I literally wanted to die. It was so exciting. And the photos that we pulled up for him, like we kind of ended the interview and he wanted to keep talking. Like we did this little bit where we pulled photos, like old pictures. And we're like, tell us what you can remember from this time. And there were a couple that we held back just because we had gone over our hour allotment with him. And he was like, do you guys have more? Like, what are those? Like, I want to see them. And he ended up talking to us for like 45 minutes longer. You know, everyone's like, don't meet your heroes. Well, we met one of ours and he was absolutely lovely.
Exceeded all expectations, period.
Exceeded, A++. Okay, should we go to number one, which is definitely the same for both?
You forgot your number two.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Sorry, Andreas Carlson, who is number two. I mean, having Andreas on the pod was another one of those moments similar to like a Joseph Kahn where we got to hear some behind the scenes stories. I mean, hearing how he collaborated with Max on writing I Want It That Way, how they lived next door to each other and Max would just knock on his door. Andreas Carlson, the amazing producer, songwriter, he told us how Bye 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 came to be, how it was a totally different song intended for Five, another amazing boy band, and how Simon Cowell was a part of that story. I mean, it's just really fun to geek out with people who were there in the rooms where it happened and getting the opportunity to say thank you to them for making the soundtrack to our young little lives. I mean, Andreas was a Mount Rushmore interview for me.
Very similar to Joseph Kahn. I'd say top 5. Most people I got starstruck with. He's Max Martin adjacent. Like, I'm not delusional enough to think that we'd ever get Max Martin on our podcast. I don't want to, you never say never, but like I am fairly grounded in reality. But like we had someone on that could probably pick up the phone easily and call Max Martin and has at least a professional relationship with Max Martin. And that is mind blowing to me. And I still can't. That was another one that we did that on a Sunday. And I just remember like losing sleep the night before for that one because I just could not believe it.
He was really fun to talk to. And I just love when we can like talk shop, and I feel like because we're such huge fans, we go a little more into the weeds, I think, than some typical, interviewers may. And people laughing and be like, oh my God, you remember that? Well, let me tell you, like he described the first time he ever saw Britney Spears when she was like just beginning her career and he knew she was going to be a huge star. And we were smiling ear to ear during that whole conversation.
I just remember bringing up what you said, talk shop, like the Can't Make You Love Me by Britney. And I was like, this is like one of my favorite choruses all time. And I like explained how I thought it was different from the other choruses. And I was like, can you talk to me about like what that is? And he like thought that was so funny. But just we were able to kind of, like you said, pick up little nuances and talk to him about things that he probably doesn't get asked if he does like a Billboard interview, you know? So, man, we had a Swede on. Like, it's crazy.
I know.
Crazy.
Sharon Studios.
Like an OGer, like an OG Sharon man. So that was incredible. Kelsey, we both have kind of a similar number one. Do you want to take the lead on that?
I mean, number one has to be just Backstreet Boys at Sphere. The whole thing, like the year of waiting, the anticipation, how excited we were, the theorizing of what is it going to look like? Are they going to come in on the surfboards? To being there on opening night. I have tried to describe this feeling to people and they always make fun of me, but I'm being so earnest when I say this, that being front row, opening night of Backstreet Boys at Sphere, like I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Like it was the most excited I've ever been. I think maybe I literally have tears in my eyes talking about it. It was so exciting to be in our mid-30s, getting to see our favorite boy band from childhood. Who gets to say that they get to do that? It is just so, I feel so lucky that we picked the right boy band all those years ago.
I know. They have kept us fed. We are so fortunate. And I just feel like they really kicked down the doors with this. Like they were the first pop act to do this. They've just continuously sold out. And now, you know, we're hearing rumors about the Jonas Brothers maybe coming to the Sphere. You know, everyone's like, the Spice Girls need to be there. But like Backstreet Boys, again, as they are so many times in their career, they were like the foundational, like the first. They proved that the Sphere was fit for a pop act, not just, you know, U2 or the Eagles. Pop music can absolutely dominate that space. And I'm really excited to see who follows in their footsteps. But let it be known that our boys were the trailblazers.
Yeah. And they're literally like saving Vegas tourism. I saw an article about how they're bringing in so many visitors to Las Vegas that it really helped with the summertime lull. You know, Vegas is hot. You know, not a lot of people are going there over the summer. And they're bringing in, you know, 350,000 visitors to Las Vegas in 2 months over their summer residency. And I read that with the extension into February of 2026, that they're helping to keep the city busy in between the high traffic. You know, New Year's is a big moment for Vegas and then spring break is a big moment, but February is kind of like a lull for them. So it's helping the local economy. It's helping air travel demand, hotel occupancy. It's generating revenue across the entire tourism ecosystem. And I also read that because a lot of fans have children, they're bringing their kids. So it's helping family tourism. You know, I don't usually think of Vegas as a family-friendly destination, but Backstreet Boys may be changing that. So, oh my God, their impact.
So true. Like I'm going in February with my husband and I cannot get in at the Palazzo or the Venetian.
Because of Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, I would assume so. Like, I mean, that's the place you want to stay if you're going to see them. And I truly think that's because of the show. And it just goes to show their impact.
Yeah. You know? I just hope that seeing the success of them at Sphere, like, NSYNC, what are you doing? Like, come on. Like, anyone who was maybe thinking about getting back together and doing a reunion tour, like I think Backstreet Boys just showed that it is not only possible, but there is a huge market of eager millennials and Gen Xers who want to be there. They have the funds, they're willing to work hard for it and like come see you wherever you are. Just seeing everyone dressed in white walking around Las Vegas, like just made my heart so happy. You knew exactly where everyone was going. And it was just so much fun. From a personal perspective too, I love getting to meet our listeners from around the world. We had a meet up the day after night one. We got to exchange friendship bracelets, swap stories. We got to meet Jade from CrowdSurf in person at one of the shows. I wish I could bottle that feeling. I love seeing it with my mom too and my godmother 25 years later. It just, chef's kiss.
Special.
We're very lucky that Backstreet Boys still put in the work all these years later. They definitely don't have to. So I'm glad they do.
Amen to that, sister. So that is a wrap on 2025.
What a year. I feel like this is the year that we popped.
Definitely. And we're going to continue said pop.
she's sending an email right now to try to get a Backstreet Boy on the podcast.
Just following up.
That's our favorite phrase. We're like, is it too soon to follow up? I'm like, give them 3 days.
I know.
Well, thank you guys for making this year such the incredible time that it was. Every DM that you guys send us, we read them all. We love them all. We're always sending screenshots back and forth to each other of the lovely exchanges that we have with you guys. So thank you for sticking with us for the last 3 years. And cheers to 2026. May we get another. I want everyone to go to sleep tonight saying, when they popped, we'll get another Backstreet Boy.
Manifest.
And it'll happen. With our powers combined, we will manifest this. We've got the Etsy witches on our side. Now we need all of our listener witches to lock in for us. So thank you guys for all of your support. We appreciate you so much and hope you have the best New Year.
Happy New Year's. Bye.
Bye.